Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. If you have a question for Coach, please raise your hand and we will get started. Kareem?
You're muted.
No.
Sorry about that. One more time. Want to ask about Ariel and her back. What's her status?
She's going out. Well, she's probably out there shooting right now to see how she feels. She did part of shoot around this morning, so if there's no setback, she will play.
If she cannot go, do you know who slides up?
Probably Kiera Leslie.
Gotcha. Everybody else good to go besides that?
No Sydney again.
So. Well, yeah. I'm sorry. I just automatically thought Sydney. I did want to ask one more question about Ariel. Every year she comes back adding something to her game, and we talked a lot about her after post game last game. But what did she add that stands out the most from the bubble? Where she improved the most to you?
I think part of it is trying to have kind of a aggressive mentality as a scorer. I think to take yourself from being like a role player, score 12, 14 points a game, to now understanding that on a lot of nights you can score 20. To be aggressive, not to be selfish, but to seek out shots, know that the ball has to be in her hands a fair number of times for us to be effective. She's learning how to play off of Tina and Maisha in doing that too. So I think that's, the next progression is how do I, consistently be a top scorer and have it fit into the offense and play off these other two post players.
Obviously, you've always felt, thought highly of her, and she's been a starter in this team since she's basically been here. But did you envision this type of growth, even back when you drafted
her? I had hoped for it. I mean, when you draft somebody like that, you hope that, you see skills that translate to our league, and you try to enhance them. I mean, one of the conversations I had with her this offseason, at the start of training camp, was I asked her a very simple question. I said, how hard is it if you just take it in segments? Don't look at the game as a whole. But if you were to play 7 minutes in a quarter, is it hard to score 4 or 5 points in a quarter? And when she thought about it, was like, well, not really. I mean, go 2 for 4, and that's a good start. Well, then at the end of the day, instead of overwhelming yourself with thinking about a full game, all of a sudden you've got 16 to 20 points at the end of the game. And it's a whole way of going about thinking about things like that, instead of being overwhelmed with the idea of, geez, I got to get, 15 to 20 points. Don't look at it in that way. Think about getting 4 points in a quarter. And it's all of a sudden, it's a different way of looking at the game.
That's perfect. Thank you very much.
You bet.
Jen?
Hey, Coach. You talked the other day about wanting to get a little bit more production from the bench and play them a little bit more. And obviously that is complicated if Ariel's out. But setting that aside for a second, do you think that increased production from the bench will come naturally if they get more minutes, or are there other things that you're trying to do to get them, scoring more or producing more on the stat sheet?
I think part of it will come from more minutes. I think part of it will be us as coaches making sure we have the right group together. I think sometimes, you don't want to have your whole bench out there at the same time because you're putting them in different roles, but pairing 2 or 3 of your starters with 2 or 3 of your bench people in that kind of regard, I think that helps both. I think that's probably how it will come more than, just, all of a sudden your whole bench is on the court.
And are you looking at 1 or 2 bench players in particular to step up, or just across the board?
Just across the board right now until we figure out, how to better use. I mean, I've never coached, Erica and Teresa, for any length other than, the start of this season. Kiera Leslie played, part of our last summer, never played her rookie year. I've never coached Shavante before. So, I think that's all part of figuring out how the pieces fit together a little bit.
Thank you.
Yep.
Tyler?
Hey, Coach, going back to Ariel real quick, for her and her offense offensive impact in the game now, is that more confidence from her stepping into this season and finding that role with this offense, or are you guys giving her an additional layer and impact in the offense?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think she understands that we need more from her. She knows that, Elena's not out there. Emma's not out there. I think that there's just an innate understanding by her that, she's now one of our go-to players. And then, we've tried to, run a few more things for her, involve her. Like I said at the start, trying to involve her in more combination plays with either Tina or Maisha, and trying to, make those things work. So I think it's, it's a little bit of both.
And then she told us heading into this season that for her, she wants to still work on her growth more and growth on being a leader, especially on this team. And with her big performances in the past couple of games, have you seen that confidence off the court from her as well?
It's hard to say. I mean, I think, she didn't practice yesterday, but I think she was engaged, on the sideline. I see her talking to, Stella and Kiera and trying to kind of give them little pieces of advice that, she got when she was a rookie. I think those are the things that you see her growth in that area.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep.
Angel.
Thank you, Coach. Good to see you. Thank you for your time. Just as far as your team and trusting the process, Coach Reeves said you of all coaches would be the one that's a great leader in understanding and teaching your team how to mature and work through the kinks and trying to get everything together. For you, knowing that you have so many vets with you, Shavonte Zealous, even Alicia Clark that's on the sidelines, how does that help even the younger group for you, knowing what you want to do, even with bodies missing?
I mean, I think it helps that they are products of having won a lot. Obviously, Alicia has won championships. Shavonte's won a championship. The returning vets like Natasha and Elena and Ariel and Maisha have all won a championship. So having that pedigree, I think, helps a lot. I think, but part of it, I think that, the way you guide your team through it is, I think the tendency, I'll say this the right way, when you have players who have won and you're not winning at the start, how do you handle, the tendency sometimes to say, oh my God, we're not what we're supposed to be, and this little bit of panic comes in. And, it's not, compared to the NBA, it's a short season, but it's a long season in the sense that 8 teams are going to make the playoffs. We know we're going to get better. We know we'll get healthier, or at least we hope, we're pretty sure we'll get healthier. And, we had to point out today, like even in our pre shoot around meeting, I don't think players understand sometimes growth forward. Take out our first 2 games, and since then we have been, I think, the 3rd best offensive team in the league. And yet they don't see that sometimes because they see a loss. They lost a game. They didn't play well in the 3rd quarter the other day, or they didn't do this. And so I think, it's my job to kind of guide them through that part of it and lean on players who have been through this to help in the locker room, kind of remind them of that sort of thing. You can turn things around fairly quickly as you learn how to play together. We keep reminding, this isn't 2019. We don't have that group. They're not showing up. A couple of them may show up, eventually, but right now, let's try to make this group who they're supposed to be.
Thanks, Coach.
I think that's it, Coach.
Great, thank you. Yep.
And we will see everyone post game. Thank you.